let's start with the meditation. If you're in a place where it's appropriate for you to do so, go ahead and close your eyes. Take a few deep, slow, relaxing breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. With every inhale, we feel more peace and more light entering the body and mind. And with every exhale, we let go of the tension in our bodies and minds and let go of anything that we do not want. Breathing in peace and letting go on every exhale of all tension. We picture ourselves on top of a beautiful mountain in the center of a circular grove of trees. In the center of our circle, a bonfire blazes forth, lighting us and the grove up with a sacred golden light. We recognize this is the light of perfect love and perfect trust, and it easily burns away everything that is unlike itself, leaving us safe and serene. Into this protected and sacred space, we invite the presence of our Creator. To many of us here, that Creator reveals themselves as a God and Goddess, a Father and Mother. We also invite into this space our teachers and angels. We dedicate the time that we are spending together to them and to each other. We ask that we be guided and led as we walk upon the way, becoming happier, more peaceful, more healthy, more prosperous, and more loving people. Thank you very much. And if it is appropriate, you can say out loud the words, "Blessed be." I'd like to revisit the topic of faith today. I've noticed a few things online here and there about it, and I wanted to just give you my 2 cents. I have a very different idea about certain words in regards to faith. A lot of people think faith and belief are the same thing, and I don't define those words as being the same thing. Now, everybody has faith in something. There is no such thing as a faithless person. An atheist has faith, a Christian has faith, a Satanist has faith, a Buddhist has faith, an agnostic has faith. You have faith in something. You either have faith in science, maybe, or you have faith in some sort of God. You have faith that you'll take another breath. You have faith that the sun comes up in the morning. Faith is just how we live. We have faith in something or another. Belief, however, is inherently something that we don't know if it's true or not. We just hope it is. For instance, if you were in a court of law on a witness stand, and they said, "Tell us about blah, 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 blah." And you say, "Well, I believe that." Either somebody might object or the judge might say, "It's not about your belief. We're asking what you know. So give us the facts that you know, not what you believe." So to say, when somebody asks you, did so-and-so come over the other night? You can say, "I believe so." Well, you wouldn't say, "I believe so," if you were certain of it. So it's right there baked into our day-to-day language that belief doesn't necessarily mean that you know something. It usually means that you don't know. You're not certain. You don't have certainty about it, but you think it might be true, or you hope that it's true, or you believe it. And so in magic, we don't want to believe that our spell will come true. That's not powerful. I believe it will. Well, if you believe that something will happen, it's possible that it won't. I don't believe that the sun will come up. I don't believe that I'm going to take another breath. I don't believe that I'll have something to eat today. I know I will. I know the sun will come up. So my faith in those things is based on knowledge, based on experience, based on something that I know to be true. When you have faith in something that you can't see, but you know it's true, you have certainty. That's faith built on rock. You can, in that New Testament where that character Jesus is talking about building your house on sand versus building your house on rock, that's what that's talking about from my point of view. If your faith is built on belief, then you're building it on sand. The winds will come, the rains will come, and it'll blow it down. But if you build your faith on certainty, on that which you know to be true, then your faith is built on rock and nothing can break it down. When we are working on our magical faith, on that witch's pyramid, that is such an important distinction, is that we're not building magical belief, we're building magical faith. Faith based on certainty. You know that your spell will come true based on the fact that you have a track record, based on the fact that you've been able to accomplish these things before. And that's why we talk about things like the sphere of influence, because you're building your faith in a very systematic way so that you know that your spells are going to come to fruition. You don't have any wonder about it. You're certain of it. And so that's when faith and will kind of go hand in hand. When you're building your magical faith, you don't want to extend yourself out of what you think is possible, because then that fragile faith might be broken. And it's very difficult to mend that once it's broken. You don't want to put yourself out on a limb with beliefs. You want to stretch your faith based on what you know to be true or what you know to be possible. Now, there's times when you can have a hypothesis that may not quite work out, but it's still based on truth. It's still based on knowledge. And that's not going to injure your faith so much, because then you can go back and troubleshoot it and gear it toward the success that you desire. It's not necessary that each and every spell that you cast is a success, because that's how we learn. We learn from mistakes, we learn from failure. But if your faith is based on truth, is based on sound principles, then when things don't work out for you, you can say, that didn't make sense. I wonder what happened. And you can go tweak it. Whereas if it's based on belief, and you didn't know whether it was possible, you were just kind of hoping, crossing your fingers, then you don't have any way to troubleshoot that, because you won't be able to find out where it went wrong, because it wasn't based on anything except for a whim, except for a desire. We don't want to be whimsical. We don't want to wish when we're doing our magic. We want to will. There's a big difference. Wishing is in the realm of belief. Willing is in the realm of knowledge. And you can have your faith really well honed and still things don't work out for you. But that doesn't shake you, because your faith is really well honed. And when something doesn't work out, you can figure it out. You can figure out what went wrong, or you can figure out maybe how to tweak it so that you can get the success that you desire. And then it becomes more like a scientific experiment rather than some whimsy. I think a lot of people in the craft these days believe whatever they are told. And the last thing I want you to do with me is believe me. And I don't want you to believe anybody else either. Don't believe anybody. Keep your mind open. Say, that's interesting. Let's test it out. Let's put it to the test and see. Let's research it, or let's experiment with it. I'm not going to believe you, but I'm going to say, this is interesting. I'd like to seek more knowledge in this area. But I'm not going to believe you. I'm not just going to swallow a belief system whole. That's not a magical way of working. It's not powerful to just swallow somebody's belief system. I used to see that a lot in the 80s, especially, and a little bit in the 90s when everybody was going to seminars all the time. You'd sit in these rooms and you'd be programmed into believing these things. And I think, I'm not buying that. I'm not going to just buy that. I'll listen to it. I'll think about it. But that was because I was very fortunate when I was brought up in the craft to question everything, to not believe anything. Question everything. Question it from your teacher, question it from your books, question it from lectures, question it from podcasts, whatever it is, you question it. And that's not to say that you're going to be antagonistic towards it and you're just going to automatically reject it. That's not what we're saying. But we're saying to have the attitude of, that's very interesting. That's attractive to me. I like that concept. Let's see. Let's test it out. Let's see. I'm not going to buy it until I test it. You wouldn't buy a car without test driving it. You wouldn't buy any expensive appliance without researching it. You wouldn't just buy it on a whim. Well, I hope you wouldn't. So, and it's just as expensive craft-wise, magically speaking, anytime you buy a belief system. So for as long as it's still a system of belief rather than a system of thought in which you can place your faith, that because you've researched it and you've tried it and you know it to be true, Belief systems are things that aren't helpful. They're not healthy. It's okay to let go of belief systems. It's really okay to let go of belief systems. Systems of belief, what can they give you? Again, as long as they're in the realm of belief, if you were in a court of law and they asked you that question and you can say, well, I believe, they don't care what you believe. They only care what you know. They only care what you've seen. And magic only cares what you know. Magic only cares what you've seen. Magic only cares about faith based on certainty, because you need unshakable faith. And there's no way you can get unshakable faith when it's based on a belief system. It's impossible. I don't care how hard you believe. There's still a doubt, or you wouldn't believe it. You'd know it. You'd know it. A lot of times when we are experimenting with things, and we're doing it based on sound principle, you can say, this should work. This should work based on principle. So I have faith that it's probably going to work. That's a decent amount of faith. I have faith that this is probably going to work. That's a type of faith that's based on knowledge. It's based on certainty. It's based on experience. And so as you expand that sphere of influence, you're going to have to go out on a limb somewhat as far as being able to expand into what's possible, because it's a larger, grander thing than you've tried before. But it's still based on sound principles, and it's still based on experience. And if you don't have experience in magic, then you need to start smaller. You really do. You need to start small and gear it up little by little. It's your faith that moves the spell. It's your faith that causes the magic to move into manifestation. And if your faith isn't built on a rock, then you won't be able to make it work. It just won't happen. You don't have enough juice in it. If you're just believing it and hoping it and crossing your fingers, you're just making a wish. So don't bother with the craft. Just go to a wishing well and throw a coin in there and hope for the best. But if you're really trying to effect change through spell work or any other kind of magical operation, you have to understand that faith is one of those corners of the witch's pyramid that is extremely necessary, and it must be built from the ground up, and it must be maintained in good condition. Otherwise, your spells cannot work. They just can't. Be careful of what you believe. Be careful of what you buy. Be careful of all of this superstition that is rife through the craft, especially these days. It's more than ever. There's so much superstition, and superstition is based on belief. There's no knowledge there, and if you don't question it, you're putting your craft at risk. Superstition and belief are anathema to powerful magic. Superstition and belief are anathema to powerful magic. So question everything. Don't believe it. Don't buy it. Be a very powerful witch or magician. A powerful witch is healthfully skeptical, not cynical, but skeptical. When I hear something, instead of rolling my eyes, that's the cynical part of me, which tends to want to come out. I have to keep my mind open and say, well, it sounds very superstitious to me, but let me ask. Let me find out. Let me find out what's going on here. See if there is a kernel of truth in that. Sometimes there is, in which case, I can make an educated decision on it. Any of the accoutrements in spell work, people, they're very backwards in the way they work their magic. They think, well, what does this do? What does this ingredient do? It doesn't do anything. Lavender in my spell, it doesn't do anything other than smell good. It has no action. There's no active principle in that lavender. There's no active principle in that perfume. There's no active principle in that knife. Right? Those are symbols. They're symbols that hold great amounts of Akashic energy. So if I understand that, then my faith is intact. But if I really believe that those things have some sort of power over, then my faith is shattered. I can't have faith in them, because there's no knowledge to back it up. Be very careful. Be very, very careful of what you do with your mind when you approach your magic, because it can be very detrimental. Because I guarantee you, these people that are throwing belief systems around like that are not very effective in their magic. And they definitely are not able to have verifiable, repeatable results with their magic, even if they happen to chance on some result. You can't. It's impossible to have verifiable, repeatable results if your faith is based on belief rather than knowledge, belief rather than principle. So question each and every belief. It's a very powerful thing to do, just to go through your day. And when a belief system pops up, just say, is that true? How do I know that? Why do I believe that? Why do I even believe that? Let me test that out. Let me test this out. Anytime somebody tells you, oh, always blah, 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 blah. Is that true? Why? Why do you always blah, 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 blah? You know, sometimes in a system of magic, we say this is the system and go ahead and follow this system sort of blindly while you're training yourself. Just take our word for it, right? But even with that, at the end of that training, you can go back and see, well, did it work? Did it work? Did I get what the objectives were? Right? Because in my training, I always try to be really clear. Well, these are the objectives. So just do what I say, you know, for this specific period of time. I never say forever, but for this specific period of time, go ahead and suspend disbelief, if you will, and do what I say in order to get these objectives met. And then you need to go back, though, and assess, did I get it? Now, do I have new knowledge that I can draw on in order to be powerful? Or was that a waste of my time? Either way, it's powerful because you can either accept these things as knowledge or you can reject them as knowledge because they didn't work. I see people doing the same things over and over and over again and never getting results because somebody told them to, because there's a belief system attached to it. Like even with the dark moon, I don't work on the dark moon. It's not because you're going to turn into a toad if you do magic on the dark moon. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's not a belief that there's something wrong with the dark moon. It's just a sign of respect. A lot of my magic is based on that sphere Yesod, which is right above us, which is ruled by the moon. So a lot of my magic comes from that. And when the moon, who represents Shekinah and also represents the mother and the divine goddess, when she doesn't show her face and she goes dark, I go dark. That's just the tradition. So that's what we do. But it's not because there's some negative, nefarious power that will come and get you or something. There's no belief system attached to that. It's just it's a tradition of learning how to respect that power. That's all. It's a tradition of respect. These ancient names of the days of the week are based on those ancient original 7 planets that we understood astrologically. So we're tapping into Akashic energy. But it's not that something special happens on every Saturday. The Saturn just is alive every Saturday and never alive the energy is never alive any of the other day of the week. That's not powerful to think that there's some sort of superstitious power associated with the day of the week. It's just that those are akashically associated with a particular planet. So when we time our spells with those things, we are tapping into a bunch of thought forms within the group mind, within the Akashic records, that we can lean on and leverage our magic. So they're very powerful things to do, but we do those with knowledge and understanding. We know what we're doing and why we're doing it. We don't just go off half-cocked and say, oh, well, Saturday is sacred to Saturn and I don't understand it, but we have to do it. Belief is not powerful in magic. It's just not. It's not that it's bad. It's just that it's counterproductive. So my recommendation to you, not only in magic, but in life, is, as I said, go through your day. And when a belief system presents itself to you, question it. Question everything. Question everything and everyone. And if it doesn't jive with you, you can at least put it on hold for the time being. You don't necessarily have to reject every belief, but put it on hold until you can understand it better, right? And then reject it or accept it. But you're still accepting it based on knowledge or rejecting it based on knowledge. So every belief system deserves to be questioned. Every belief deserves to be questioned so that it no longer is a belief, but it's knowledge. And that way your faith can be based on truth rather than supposition. And then you have power, and then your magic really starts to shine and really starts to move, and you become a locomotive rather than just a little leaf in the wind. Thank you so much for spending a little time with me today. I so appreciate you. Until next time, blessed be.